Yo, welcome to the SOUTHPOD, home of the NFC South, where we cover the stories and the stat lines of the NFC South. Today is our 2025 all-season edition, so we chopping it up, talking about everything NFL as far as free agency, who signed, who's not going to sign, quarterbacks from the combine, etc. We got a lot to cover, so we're going to jump head into it. I got my usual suspects. We waiting on one, Lance Corpatelli, but he'll chop in when he get a chance. So we're going to roll with it. The usual suspects. How y'all feeling?
What's
What's
happening?
good, bro?
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's go and get into it, man. Franchise tag. It wasn't really too many franchise this year. It was only like what I saw, two key players. But the one that stood out to me the most was T. Higgins from
T.
the Bengals.
Higgins. Yeah.
T. Higgins from the Bengals. Hey, and Will, Big Will, what you think about that?
No, man. To me, it sucks. I mean, I was listening to Joe Burrow during the Super Bowl, and he talked about trying to get Higgins long term and Trey Hendrickson. Obviously, he got approved for a trade request to go out and seek a trade, and they still have to work out a deal with Jamar Chase. And it's no telling what that's going to look like. I'm suspecting around 40 million average. I understand why the Bengals did it because they're in a cap strap
Yeah.
situation, but it's unfortunate. I mean, for the player, but it gives him another opportunity to go out and prove it. And if he goes out and play well, knock on wood, he don't get hurt. He's gonna be in line for a lot of money, whether it's in Cincinnati or somewhere else, and I suspect it'll be somewhere else.
Hey, but Rich, this is the second time they done franchise. Rich, is it really a good move? I mean, wasn't
Nah,
going to
man. Nah, it's not, man. I'm inclined, to agree with Big Will, man. It's a business move, no doubt, and T. Higgins deserves his money, man, for what he's actually done for that franchise, and I love to see him go out there and get that money, man, before he get any type of serious injury and stuff. But Cincinnati was just doing what's best for them by placing that franchise tag on them and trying to actually save money. But at the end of the day, I think T. Higgins is going to be playing ball somewhere else, man.
Yeah, I wonder if he actually agrees to it, if he sits out, whatever, or try to do a whole in like Chase did last year, just show up, but don't practice. But they said they're gonna get a deal done. Looks like they trying to go all offense because they letting their boy Hendrickson hit the
Yeah,
market in free agency.
yeah, man. I hope they're able to work something out with him, man. I think what they got in Cincinnati, man, if they add some other key pieces, they'll be a very formidable team, man. But time will tell.
Absolutely. What you think, Kratos?
All right, so Joe Burrows has spoken, bro. Joe wants all his key pieces to stay in Cincy. Higgins always said he wasn't going to sign
I
another
want to speak on the
franchise.
Hendrickson situation. I don't know if we're gonna cover that later more, but if I think considering
What's
they're a
going on?
last
I'm getting
place
feedback.
defense,
Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
Okay.
considering that
Well,
they're a last place defense, and you're, I'm not even worried about the Higgins situation. I think the Hendrickson loss is a bigger loss. Um,
Okay.
I think you look at it and you look at where the defense is still last year. They also fired a defensive coordinator. Um, I mean, Hendrickson was the best pass rusher in the league, and it wasn't even close. I mean, at 17 and a half sacks, the 80 something pressures he had. Also, they got a stat out there sacks created. This dude created 26 sacks for his team, for his teammates, just rushing off the edge. And I think, and there was nobody close to him in that particular stat for 14 sacks. So I mean, again, considering that the defense was not formidable whatsoever, you let the best possible player go, or potentially letting them go to the market, and he's going to get traded because if you look at that Max Crosby deal, I don't understand
Yeah,
how you don't negotiate from there. There's no way Cincinnati's going to be able to pay that man, and I think when you look at other teams that's going to be on the market for him that got the cap space, I mean, he could very well be another player be sitting in Washington.
Kratos, jump in there. What you
all right.
said, Joe Burrow has spoken on the offense.
Yeah, he did. He said Joe wanted his key pieces back in Cincy. Higgins always said he wasn't going to he wasn't going to sign another franchise tag, but most likely it was Joe Burrows that said something to basically change his mind. So
Yeah, definitely. Like Will said, well, like I said earlier, also they trying to go off all offense. To me, that's what it seems like. The offense is going to be the defense. They want to put up a lot of points, or whatever. But we all know defense win championship,
Yeah,
and
offense sells tickets.
Yep.
absolutely. Hendrickson in 2024, he was number 3 in pressure percentage, number 1 in sacks, number 3 in pass rush win rate. In 2023, his stats were the same, so he's been trending up for the past 3 years. It's time for him to get his money. But like we said, quarterbacks rule, they rule. But speaking of quarterback, we're gonna talk about,
Ooh.
those other guys that's out there, that ain't got that pull like Joe Burrow. Quarterback suit. Aaron Rodgers, Holly Harold is maybe one of the GOATs, possibly the GOAT. We got Sam Darnold, who had a outstanding season last year, shit the bed the last part of the season. Then we got that quarterback carousel in Pittsburgh with Fields and Russell Wilson. Will, Big Will.
Okay.
Will, since we got 2, I'm calling you Kratos today.
All right.
So Big Will, speak on Rodgers. Where is he going? Or
Man,
where should he?
Rogers washed, man. It is what it is. I think the most likely destination for him is going to end up being in Pittsburgh. I think they're thirsty for a quarterback that can play better than Russ and Fields, and I do honestly think that Rodgers can do that for them. But I think personally, I don't blame the Jets. I know why the Jets moved off him. I think it was more of a culture situation more than it was about his play. But for that same reason is why I think he needs to be in Pittsburgh, because I think he has an alpha in Mike Tomlin, and he ain't gonna run him off the door. And I think that's why that situation may work better for him. But I don't see Aaron Rodgers too many places. He's definitely not gonna be a backup for anybody.
No, I don't see it either. Rich, what you think? He said he needs an alpha, but he's never had an alpha as a coach. He's always been able to do what he wants. He go to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's a different story, Rich.
And I think that was a part of the problem too. Like, Big Will said, they actually got him out of New York. But I think, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the same place that we are, in the first dib, sitting on the couch watching football, man. Because I don't know a team that was going to actually take a chance on putting Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that relationship would actually work out if he was to go to Pittsburgh, because we all know Mike Tomlin ain't playing that. And then you got a young wide receiver in George Pickens, who I think, if you come in there and you try to talk to him like you do some of those other wide receivers, that relationship ain't going to work. So that's going to cause some turmoil. So I don't think Pittsburgh would be an ideal fit for him, man. I think Aaron Rodgers just need to hang it up, call it quits. He had a very good actual career and let it be.
Hey, Kratos, I heard one of the talking heads say today that he think Aaron should just, chill out, and wait for somebody to get hurt, and then possibly sign their way, basically leaning towards retirement, like let it marinate for a little bit. What's your thought?
Man, look, this dude need to go home, bro. For real. Honestly, everybody knows that Rodgers has this daggone shit. Oh no! And for real though, he needs to go home, man. And either he don't go home, but if that's the case, put him as somebody's backup. But more than likely, we gonna do some dumb shit, and I hope he don't come to us. But the Saints is known for doing some dumb shit, so don't be surprised. Aaron Rodgers might have a fleur de lis as a backup quarterback. So, but honestly, that he needs to go home. It's just his attitude, bro. His attitude is crumbling the team. And then
you think Aaron? I think you about to chime in too, Big Will. But you think Aaron Rodgers would go to New Orleans and back up Derek Carr?
Nah. Well, first off,
hell no. You might go.
I can't say the tongue is powerful, but Carr gonna bump his head falling down a flight of steps.
I don't think the Saints got the money. They don't need. They're struggling from a cap standpoint. Aaron Rodgers is still looking for a payday. Also, Aaron Rodgers wants to prove the naysayers wrong. He's going to try to go to a situation that he feels like he could go in and potentially be in the playoffs. He's not going to go to a situation again where they're rebuilding.
Absolutely.
Cap strap situations. He's going to want to be paid. And he's going to be a starter. If he's still playing, if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would still want to be a starter. You're not going to have me sitting behind Derek Carr or any of these young quarterbacks. He wants to go to a place where he can start. And I kind of, and I didn't think about it, but I kind of agree with more. I think it's going to be one of those situations where he's going to stay ready. He's going to let the market play out. He's going to let the draft play out. And I think that a team that may run into a quarterback issue that is going to be in contention, they're going to look at him and they're going to try to bring him in the building later on in the season. But I don't right now see a team outside of Pittsburgh with a vacancy at the quarterback position, unless the Giants don't go quarterback. I can see him either in one of those two spots.
Yeah.
But who's going to want him though? Because everybody's seeing what he does every time he goes to a different team. Who's going to want that cancer, bro?
A team that's desperate.
A desperate team.
True.
Absolutely.
True.
So we're basically saying that Pittsburgh is kind of desperate right now. So if you throw Rodgers into the mix, they got a 3-horse quarterbacks. They talking to Field, they talking to Russell Wilson, they still talking to 3. So saying if Aaron goes there, that means that those two are already gone. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
They're not even there anymore because both Fields and Russell are both free agents.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has no quarterback.
Yeah. So we all agree that Pittsburgh is the logical landing spot for Aaron Rodgers. If that happens, what happens? Let's go ahead and talk about Sam Darnold. We'll talk about the other two guys.
Okay, yeah.
Darnold is pretty interesting, man. He had one of the best seasons that I've seen outside of Baker Mayfield with the comeback story with the Bucs. Darnold was balling. I mean, them last 2 games, he showed who he really was, in my opinion. Where does Darnold?
I think with Sam, it's going to be interesting because Minnesota has allowed him to test the market. There was no way they were going to tag him at the $40 million number.
Yeah.
That just wasn't feasible for them. I think he's going to end up in a place where he can compete for a job. Again, if the Giants indeed don't go quarterback early, I think Sam Darnold is going to be more than likely their quarterback. Or again, Pittsburgh. I just don't. We're looking at teams like also Las Vegas. They're not in position to take a quarterback early. Unless that's just the direction that they're going. It's going to be real interesting what happens with these guys, but none of this is going to play out till after the draft. And if it does play out prior to the draft, it's going to signal where those individual teams that take a player like Sam Darnold and/or Rodgers, what they're going to do in the draft. That means they're not going to go quarterback if they take one of those 2 players, or they use them as a bridge.
Jump in there, Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start going before Big Will because he's still in on my material, man.
Yeah, I know.
He's saying the same things, man, that I was gonna say too. I think it'll be in Minnesota's best interest to keep Sam Darnold because you don't know what you're getting with JJ McCarthy when he comes back. But ideally, if he doesn't stay, in Minnesota, prime actually places for him to be and potentially thrive are first the Giants and then with Vegas. And that's interesting too with the Vegas team too, because they may actually very well just go out there, another desperate team, and get Aaron Rodgers. But we'll see, man. But I think New York first, and then Vegas if Minnesota doesn't work out something to keep them there, which I think they should do because that'll be in their best interest going into the season with the unknown with JJ McCarthy, who got hurt before he even got a real chance to play. So.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you said, Rich, but Will said something like, he said it won't happen till after the draft or whatever. I'm leaning more towards they might set the tone for the draft before it even starts, like when free agency starts next week. Donald falls off the puzzle, and then it starts to come together. Donald gets signed somewhere. I'm really thinking maybe the Raiders. And then, Will, you brought up something that triggered me. You said they're not going to franchise him for the $40 million tag. And I hate to do this right now, but I got to because you brought it up. Kobe was offered $45 million a year by San Francisco. What you think about that?
That's how they negotiate these days. I don't think if that's indeed what did happen, obviously it's disrespectful to him considering all the guys that's in front of him. You talk about guys like Tua, Trevor Lawrence, all the guys that he's beat, and his resume at this particular point far exceeds even Dak Prescott's. I'm not understanding. If I'm him, I'm hanging up the phone if we ain't even at 55. I'm not even talking at that point. I mean, you have Kyler Murray making 46. So, I'm not answering the phone unless we at 55. But the 49ers have a ton of leverage. He's under contract already at $5 million this year. And next year they can tag him at somewhere that's going to look like $40 million, somewhere between 40, 45. And then they could tag him again at 27 at somewhere that's probably going to be around $50 million average, considering what the cap is now. They have a ton of leverage. But the problem is, obviously, yesterday's price ain't today's price. If you don't sign him right now, $55-60 million is a bargain a year or two from now, considering that the cap went up 20%. So I'm always under the assumption is play the player now, because if you start is what we're looking at with guys like Max Crosby, you're looking at with Justin Jefferson, that number starts to look a lot different. $20 million more each season that we start going past this current cap. So $55-60 million is a bargain a year or two from now, because we're going to be looking at quarterbacks making somewhere between $70 million over the next couple of years, because Patrick Mahomes is going to renegotiate.
Absolutely. Rich, is Purdy worth 45 or more?
His phone may not ring. No, not in my opinion. I understand what Big Will's saying, and I mean, rightfully so. He's a 49ers fan, but in my opinion, man, I don't think that he's actually worth it. I mean, if you look at his resume, yeah, you can actually say it, but is that truly indicative of a player if you place him in another system? In my opinion, I think you can place Bryce Young in that San Francisco 49ers system. You can play Jameson Winston in that 49ers system. And I think those guys would thrive. And I think they're better quarterbacks than Brock Purdy. So I don't think he's worth the $45 million.
Oh no. Will Kratos, say something. Talk to me about Purdy.
Hey, all I'm saying is this. Minnesota would be crazy to get rid of this dude and not franchise him. Only reason, he had two games under 100. One of them was 180 yards, and the other one was like 179. Everything else was over 200. What's up?
Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, so with Darnold, man, it would be bad for them to not franchise that guy, because look, his stats show big time, and only 2 games out of the whole season of under 200. Everything else is above 200 yards. So
okay, so I like what you just said about Darnold. Now tell me about Purdy.
Oh man, as the great daggone Rich just said, don't be waiting for a phone call, because it ain't happening. And I'll just get that there.
With Brock, man, because I'm looking at, you got a lot of pieces. Well, a lot of teams are moving right now. Debo is gone. We're gonna talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'm hearing rumblings that IU, is pushing the issue again, even after he just got paid and not he's injured or whatever. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what Kittle's situation is. Maybe Will can talk on that, but they got some stuff going on. So,
yeah. I mean, I think listening to ownership and John Lynch talk about return on investment, ROI, as I like to call it. They spent a lot of money. They were first in the league with upfront cash spending for the last couple of years. They were trying to take advantage of Brock's rookie contract, kind of what Washington is doing right now when it comes to Jaden Daniels. They're trying to take advantage of this window that they might have, having a quarterback playing at a top level, and also being able to have them at a bargain deal. I get what people say when it comes to Brock Purdy. He may not be the sexiest guy. There's always in this league, I always try to remind people, there's always been Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, but there's also those other guys. That's always been the case. Right now, we're looking at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and then there's these other guys. Those other guys are going to win Super Bowls more often than not. Than we're talking about, like we just saw Jalen Hurts win the Super Bowl. We would have had the same conversation last year because the Eagles were completely terrible. last year.
I
I
agree.
mean, Brock Purdy threw 5 touchdowns against them Eagles.
I agree.
So again, we there's always going to be those other guys that you have to put in the mix. You can't discount saying, well, we could just throw anybody in these systems and they're going to have to. We don't know that. What we do know right now is he's played in 2 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl, and he would have been a Super Bowl MVP had they won that game. Secondly, again, this is just the way the league works. I mean, you can't. If you get rid of Brock Purdy, who else is walking through the door and that can give you that? You're certain knows the system and can give you that today. I mean, I wouldn't want Derek Carr. I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers, and I wouldn't want these other guys either, because I know that he has chemistry with the players on the team and he knows the system.
Okay, sounds good. But real quick, Fields and Russ, what we doing with them? Somebody jump in there, talk to me.
You know, man, I thought originally Justin Fields probably should have went to Atlanta. Right now it's a toss-up, man. I don't know if people are willing to actually take a chance on Justin Fields or Russ. But likelihood spots that either one of those guys could land, and potentially I say more so Russell, but no, Justin Fields is probably New York and Vegas again. Those guys are actually looking for quarterbacks, and possibly even Tennessee, because Tennessee got to actually get their quarterback situation under controls too. So I look at those 3 teams, man, as possible landing spots for those guys to potentially play backup roles or actually go in there and compete for starting jobs.
I agree with you, Rich. But like Will said, I said maybe moves are made before the draft, but I don't think that's going to happen, because we got 3 possible candidates, coming up in the draft that can fill that void. And speaking of those, we got Cam Ward, we got Shedeur Sanders, and then we got a dark horse. We're going to give him his own take after we finish talking about these.
Yeah.
But we got Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Neither one participated in the combine. And, there's a lot of devaluing going around, and, from the talking heads about Shedeur, about his demeanor and everything. Nothing to do with football, but they talking about his demeanor. Like, come on. I mean, who his dad is. He's been bred. What do we think about Sanders and Ward? Who should be one? Rich.
You know what, man? Early on in the season, the college season that was, Cam Ward was balling out. Shedeur was playing good. So I probably would have gave the edge. Me personally, I probably would have gave the edge to Shedeur. But something that you mentioned, man, early on, in this conversation, we were talking about it today, at work, is the other things, man. Those qualities that show your lack of maturity, that kind of show your bravado, like you think you're there already name. So I think by not actually showing up and performing in the combine, and plus all the rumblings that's going on right now that you hear some of these guys are talking about, I think Shedeur's draft stock just took a hit, man. So I would go with Cam Ward.
Cam Ward?
Yep.
Fredo, talk to me. He said Cam Ward should be one.
I'll say that Shedeur is a better QB. Not taking nothing away from Cam. I feel Shedeur is just a generational QB, man. And we're going to see when it comes to the draft. Giants are going to move and take Cam Ward, and Shedeur, and they know that Shedeur doesn't want to go to the Giants. So we're going to see. But I just say Shedeur is a better QB.
Did he say he didn't want to go to the Giants? I didn't hear that.
Anyway.
No, he didn't.
No, I didn't hear that.
Just mark my word.
Hey, you fake news, Will. What you doing, man? What you doing? Will, what we doing?
Man, Shedeur is far and away the better quarterback. He's played the pro style system under Pat Shurmur. All this satire that's coming out of the draft from these alleged GMs that don't put names behind what they're saying, I think they're trying to drop his value so that they can be in position to draft him. I listened to this kid do multiple interviews with the court, Chris Sims and those guys over there at I forgot what network it is that Chris Sims is on. But he talked a lot about his teammates. This is the same dude that during the bowl season, when he was talking about, hey man, y'all talking to me, but talk to my teammates. Talk about them. Talk about what they do. he analyzed his weaknesses, his strengths. He talked about guys that he wants to play like, things that he's going to avoid. Having Michael Vick as a mentor, having Tom Brady as a mentor, processing the game. I mean, this kid from in between the ears has everything that you need as a quarterback. If you watch the tape, he's elevated every system that he's been in, every program that he's been a part of. And that's what he was alluding to when he talked about, if you don't want a culture changer, don't draft me. And that's what he's going to bring to these franchises. He's going to bring swagger. He understands that if you talk like that, you got to walk like that. Because again, we got to talk about his bloodline. He knows he has to earn that. And that's what he's going to do. He knows who he is as a football player. All this other stuff in regards to him possibly not being a player. I mean, all respect to Cam Ward, but he ain't holding that man jockstrap.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of, stock depreciating, we got one stock that's rising, and I ain't gonna speak on it because I'm an Ole Miss fan.
I got you.
So, my boy Jackson Dart, he showed up at the combine and he dropping dime. So quite naturally, they hyping him, SEC quarterback, played with Lane Kiffin, whatever at Ole Miss, but he never won the big game. Is Dart the real deal, Rich?
I think what he's doing, man, right now in the combine is actually very impressive, man. He looked better than all the guys that I saw when I watched the quarterback combine. He kind of reminded me a little bit, as far as the bravado and his cockiness, a little bit of Will Levis when he was coming out of Kentucky. We all seen how that panned out. So I think it's left to be seen, man. If he can get to the right team and maybe get under a quarterback, a veteran quarterback that can help him develop, I think there's potential. But right now, I don't know, but I do like what I've seen thus far in the combine.
Kratos.
I concur with Rich, but he has to get with the right team. And I'll concur with you, Rich, on that. He has to get with the right team, bro. That boy can play, but we'll see.
My brother said he's going to be a bust.
Hey, I don't know what he's going to be, man. All I know is he performed good during the regular season. Like most people do. And then when the season was on the line, talk to me, Big Will. Talk to me.
I mean, Jackson Dart is ass. Let's be for real, man. This dude got hyped at the combine because he was being looked at already as that third guy, and he was the only guy to come out there and actually perform at the combine, opposite the other premier players, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, the guys that didn't go out there and actually perform. And this is what the NFL does when they're trying to boost the ratings for the combine. They want to elevate the guy that actually went out there and performed, which again, premier players for quite some time now, have not played in both bowl games or went out there and performed in the combine. That's just not what they do. They feel that they have leverage performing at their pro days because it's more or less scripted workouts. But Jackson Dart, I mean, I watched this kid since he was at USC. He played about 6 games there. He was mid. He went to Ole Miss and was also mid. Even when he had weapons, he was still mid. He's who he is. He reminds me a lot, honestly, of Gardner Minshew. That's who I look at. He's 6'2". It ain't nothing sexy. When I look at him, he's just another guy. And somebody's going to overdraft him. And I always say, quite often, teams fail players. It's rare that the player fails the team. He's going to go to a very bad team that's going to reach for a quarterback. And he's probably not going to be that good. And it may not be his fault, but it may also be his fault too, because to me, he lacks a lot of the tools that good quarterbacks have.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see, because right now they got them, juggling them between 1 and 3, so it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But no matter where they go, they're going to have to throw the ball to somebody. There's a lot of free agent wide receivers, big names that's, moving around right now. We got Debo signed with the Commanders, and DK wants to trade from Seattle. He wants to go to a contender, and the Jets released Devontae. So which one of these 3 makes the team a contender? And does Debo really move the needle? Rich.
You know what, man? I don't know if Debo's actually gonna make the Commanders better. I think on paper it looks that way, but I truly don't know, man. He looks like he has been slacking in his productivity the last couple of years. He looked overweight when he actually came into San Francisco. So I don't know if Debo is going to actually make the Commanders better or be actually a contributor to the team. I'll be interested to see where DK goes. I think DK has, in my opinion, a more up value than a declining Devontae and a Debo. Because what he's a physical specimen, man. So I'll be interested to see where he goes, man, and maybe be able to contribute to that team. But I don't know if Debo is actually going to make the Commanders better, and I don't know where Devontae is going to end up, where he could potentially be making that team better or contribute in a way, at least make the team to the playoffs. So I think right now DK is interesting piece to me, man. As long as he don't go to New Orleans.
Kratos, what you think?
All right, so Washington traded the fifth round for Debo, and Debo finished in San Francisco with 4,792 yards receiving with 22 touchdowns. and another 1,100 yards and 20 scores. I feel he's going to be a big asset for the run and the pass game, man. If he stays healthy, he can be an addition to a daily offense.
That was funny.
I had to do it, man. One of my boys, a Philly fan, he sent it to me. And I'm like, no, I knew it. That's hilarious. But definitely, I don't think Debo moves the needle for the Commanders. Like I said on the previous episode, Debo is a hybrid. He's a receiver a running back that plays receiver.
Yeah.
So if you look at Debo's stats, his best year was 2021. 2021, he had almost 1,500 yards. Ever since then, he teeters around 600 yards or whatever. Injuries play a factor. You know why injuries play a factor? Because he's a running back. He's a running back. He's taking a lot of unnecessary hits, and he ain't running route. So he's going to get there with Kingsbury. It's going to be quick screen left, quick screen right. McLaurin going to take the top off the defense. I think they need more pieces there receiver. And Debo isn't going to last because you can see his body is wearing down. So I don't think Debo moves the needle for the Commanders. One that I do would like to see would be Devontae. Devontae should go to a contender. Definitely. Stop chasing Aaron Rodgers and go to a contender. What do you think about that, Big Will?
I'm gonna touch on both. Debo, like you alluded to more, he's had issues with weight since he was a rookie. He didn't start camp on time because Wes Welcome had him on the sideline running sprints, just trying to get him at a weight which honestly was at 220. We got to talk about a receiver that has played the running back position. I mean, this dude has been playing in the backfield a lot. And he's taken more punishment as a receiver than any receiver in the league. First of all, and he's 29. He can potentially be a contributor based on how he shows up and if he's healthy. More likely than not, he's going to be on the downside. That's why Kyle Shanahan was willing to part ways with him. The fifth round pick is just more about them having to be willing to pay the salary cap. That's why the fifth round pick was more abundant. People thought it was disrespectful, but it really wasn't. It did the 49ers a favor because Washington took on the entire contract and we're going to pay it all. But Debo, it was time. It was definitely time for him to move on and look for a better situation. But I personally feel when I watch Washington, Olamide Zaccheaus does a lot already of what Debo does. He's a very versatile receiver. He's one of the better. Debo is not a separator. If I was playing corner, I would love to cover a receiver like Debo. only time I'd be scared of Debo is if we was playing zone, because you gonna know he's gonna find space in that zone. He's smart enough and he can take advantage of his zone. But we playing man like Kansas City did in the Super Bowl. We're gonna ask him to separate. He's not a separator. So more likely than not, he's gonna be a gadget type player, and he's not a pure wide receiver. The receiver I would love to have is by far DK. DK is by far and away the better receiver, and Devontae Adams still is a better receiver than Deebo Samuel is right now. Devontae's a separator. He's a route runner. He's a contested catch maker. He's the worst type of receiver that you want to cover, and he's a gamer. So Deebo doesn't move the needle for me personally. He's another guy to have in the building, a veteran. But he's not going to be their number 2 target. I think Olamide Zaccheaus is going to take a lot of targets from him, and I think DK and Devontae going outperform where they're looking at. Like Moore said, Debo's averaged somewhere between 600 yards outside of 2021, where he averaged 1,400 yards receiving.
Absolutely. Will Prado, what about DK? Does he move the needle for any team, any contender?
Hell yeah. Yes, he
Except
will.
the Saints.
Hey, you and them little Carolina kittens gonna cut that trash out, all right? Because I'm gonna give y'all a bowl of milk with some cyanide. But no, DK won't be able to move the needle, man.
Right, since y'all not getting him, who is a fit for DK? I'm thinking the Raiders. I think he's following Pete Carroll. That's what I'm thinking. Will said no, he's not.
No. This dude's looking for money, and he's looking for a better situation. He don't have a ring. This dude want a ring. DK is a competitor. He don't like that situation in Seattle. They were targeting Jackson Smith and Jigba more, and the coaches already come out. They want to be a run first team. DK wants to go to a situation that accentuates what he do as a receiver well, which is get down the field, play in space, and that's what he wants to do. And to me, teams with cap, another team, Washington, those teams with cap space that can contend is going to be teams going after a player like DK Metcalf. He definitely moves the needle for any team he goes to. Any team DK chooses to go to, he's going to move the needle. He's a threat. He's a problem. A coach needs to find out a better way to utilize him. A lot of times in Washington, he was just running go routes. He wasn't really versatile in the route tree. But the dude excels at what he does. Whatever he asks to do, he excels at it. So he's gonna be asking for a lot of freaking money.
Imagine DK with the footwork of Devontae Adams. He will be unfucking stoppable.
Yeah.
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
That is true. That is true.
So, with that being said, everybody keep talking about commanders. Okay, Jay, I'm gonna speak on it, and I might be bitter because they beat us in the first round. So y'all part.
I'm glad you prefaced that because that's where it's coming from. You got hate in your heart. Let it out, Corey.
Everything I'm saying comes from hatred. It comes from hatred, but there's a little bit of fact in it also. Okay, it was his rookie year. We do know what sophomore seasons are, right? When everybody got tape on you and everybody know how to play you. We know what happens, right? Look at CJ Stroud. Houston, he came out all out of control. Oh my God, Houston's a contender. Boom, 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 boom. Them ain't no contenders. Come on, man. So now we got the Commanders. Jaden Daniels balls out. Whatever. I'm not going to take anything away from what Jaden Daniels did. There is enough tape on Jaden Daniels this year. So we're going to see, what happens, as far as them being a contender. They ain't signed no defensive pieces. Bobby Wagner getting old. If y'all ain't know why do we sit here and think that the why do we sit here and think the Commanders are a contender? They had a good season last year, and nobody sitting up here can tell me you thought they was going to go that far, with the exception of maybe Rich, because he was, his mama, whatever, root for the Commanders or whatever. The only dude I know who's not a Commander fan, who's really like, hey, they might be some, but outside of Rich and everybody in D.C., the rest of the world was not believing in the Commanders. Yeah. I'm sorry. Went over.
First of all, you need to check my post from July last year. I did have the Commanders as a contender. First of all, I'm gonna send it to you in the text. Secondly, with the date and time stamp. Secondly, I'm not saying they're gonna contend. They had the second worst strength of schedule in the league last year, and so they're not gonna have it this year. They got a schedule this year. I'm not saying they're gonna contend. What I'm talking about is they're gonna go out. Because I know how Adam Peters operates. He comes from the understanding like New England, where he came from, Denver, where he came from when he was with Peyton Manning, but also coming from San Francisco. You have to take advantage of having the quarterback on a rookie contract. And they're just going to go out. They're going to spend a lot of freaking money trying to get guys in there. They haven't made defensive moves, but I definitely expect them to go out and make defensive moves and be incredibly aggressive in free agency. I'm not saying it's going to lead to them getting back to the NFC Championship game and/or Super Bowl. What I'm saying is, I just think they're going to go out and make moves that's going to make this quarterback a better player. Um, I'm not. I don't think they can be any worse than what they were, and I think they're going to still be a playoff football team. Because I think they're going to win games in the NFC East, and I think they could potentially win that division. But I just think they're going to go out and make some moves. I does think it does help having a player like DK Metcalf around a guy like Jaden Daniels, and he has proven and shown me that this dude can play at a high level, and it doesn't really bother him. He don't run away from the lights, and that's what I like about Jaden.
So we saying a team with low expectations from last year finished 12-5, second in their division. 12-5. They gonna win more than 12 games this year?
No.
And if I recall,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're gonna win 12 games. I think they're gonna compete though. And I mean, some of those games are how they actually panned out and they got those victories. I mean, that's just crazy work. But I do think if they can put some more additional pieces around Jaden Daniels, I still think they will have a successful season. I don't know if they'll win the division. My sister said they're going all the way. That's not going to happen, but I know why she's saying that, and that's because our mother. But I think they'll still be able to have a good season. I don't think they're winning the division, though. They just need to get the right pieces around him so they can be successful and just build off that.
Okay, we got that topic. Y'all made me upset with this Commanders. You triggered. we got off topic, but back to the receivers. Hey, Devontae, go to KC, man. Go to KC. Why not? Why not? You done been everywhere else. You done been on losing teams. I know Green Bay trying to get you to come back, whatever. If it's about winning a ring, Devontae got the money. He got the bag. Go to KC. Go to KC or go to Buffalo. Either one, go to a contender. And if you really want to, prove a point, come on down here and play with Mike Evans. But moving along, we're gonna go on and talk about, another position that's moving the needle. Saquon got the bag this offseason. Paid the running back.
Yes.
I think he's averaging like 20 mil for 2 years.
Yeah.
40 million contract, 20 mil a year. Did Saquon reset the market for running backs? Kratos?
Yes, he did. The stats show, especially with a championship. Yeah, the stats show, man. Yes, he did set the market, and I'm happy he got his bag. And he's going to probably be a force to be reckoned with this upcoming season as well. So yes, he did. He did set us up, set everybody up. As far as running backs.
Well, I think Saquon was long overdue because let's face it, John screwed him all. They screwed him. They gave a player that's now a backup with the Vikings the bag. Didn't even make it through the season. He got booed the first couple of games, and they let Saquon go. Saquon goes on, could have broke the rushing record, but he decided to put the team before the record, and it worked out for him. I still think he could have got, and they still could have won. But he went to the Philly, and Philly rewarded him for doing what he do. And it's definitely going to be interesting because you got, my guy, Rashad White, is on his prove me year. We didn't extend him, whatever. And it's a whole slew of other running backs that see this, and they're going to be like, well, if they giving Saquon that kind of money, maybe the run game is going to be introduced a little more. You got Pacheco's, the boy from Indy.
Jonathan Taylor.
You got Chuba Hubbard. He's injured also, but you got some up and coming running backs that's going to be out there, looking for that bag, thanks to Saquon. What you think, Rich?
You know what? Saquon had a hell of a year, man, and I'm glad to see that he got his money. I don't necessarily think that he reset the market for the running backs, because when you look at the running backs, man, that's in the league. I mean, there are some good actually running backs, but are they the caliber running back like Saquon? And I would venture to say no. I think the only person, in my opinion, if he was healthy, would be Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. Everybody else, is like, okay, they hit or miss. But I don't think he reset the market. I think he helped those guys out. but they're gonna have to go out there and have a hell of a season. Who should have reset the record, the market and got paid was Jonathan Taylor, but he didn't. But now he's aging, he's older because the year that he had a great year, and he thought he was gonna get that back, and he didn't. So that's who should have reset the market. I think Saquon just made it appealing for other guys, and they're gonna have to go out there and perform. But I don't think you're gonna see the running backs have a performance like Saquon did, and took a backseat for not taking the rushing record, for just being a good dude and want to see his teammates thrive.
Big Will, what you think?
I first wanted to point it out. The Commanders, I had them up there last year.
Hey, I can't see no date. All I see is 024. I don't see no date.
Well, I texted to you, so you can check that out. Secondly, Saquon definitely reset the mark, man. $20 million a year for a running back. I mean, the second closest is Christian McCaffrey at $9 million. I think if you look at all the teams that value the running back position last year, the Bills, the Packers, the Ravens, the Eagles. Look at where they were. Like, honestly, I don't understand the hate toward the running back position. Look at the teams that didn't value the running back position and look at where they are. Even Minnesota that had brought in Aaron Jones from Green Bay. I'm not under. When you have a young quarterback, the best weapon you could possibly have is a guy that you can turn around and can fall for 4 yards. I mean, and that's something that Saquon does. Saquon's going to have an incredibly long career in Philadelphia because, one, they value the offensive line. They draft well. They believe in building up front. And I think it's going to bode well for them. The same thing as the Ravens. They're going to continue to have success because they value the running back position. Saquon is what the league showed every team in the league last year is that you have to value the running back position. Honestly, look at what Tampa did. They went out and got Irvin, who eventually took Rashad White's spot. I mean, nobody expected that to happen. And look at what it did for them. Like, the production of the running back position, if you could run and pass, especially if you got, again, a guy like Bucky Irvin who's going out here, he catching balls, he running. I mean, Paul. You got to go get these guys, man. And I think their value is being understated. And I think Saquon has shown the league last year is what it does for offense. We have a player that can contribute in both the passing and the running game.
So, Big Will, question for you. Can I just interject right quick, Corey? I just had a question for Big Will. I just had a question. So, Big Will, what running back out there on any team that you think is worthy of getting the next big bag from any team?
For me, I think it's gonna be. It has to be Jacobs from Green Bay.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. I think they don't have the wide receivers out there. I think they're gonna press to get a wide receiver. But Green Bay, they desperately gonna have to go out here and pay a player like Jacobs. I mean, the thing with Indianapolis, if you go out here and you pay Jonathan Taylor, which they should, they don't have a damn quarterback. Anthony Richardson is trash. I mean, that's the problem there. So you could go out here and you can run Jonathan Taylor. You're gonna be running Jonathan Taylor like he the whole damn offense. That's the problem that the Giants had. So you could pay Saquon, but if you ain't got no quarterback, I mean, we only scheming to stop Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think when you look at Green Bay, and knowing that they come from that West Coast offense, they don't underestimate the value of having a good running back. Anybody that runs that West Coast system, you have to have running backs. I mean, Tampa had a tremendous amount of success, even losing Godwin, because the running backs really took another step forward after they lost their wide receiver. So, I mean, it says a lot when you don't. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Green Bay receivers were terrible this year. Were terrible. We expected them to take another step forward, but because Josh Jacobs went out and had an amazing season, that team got to the playoffs strictly off the running game.
Yeah, Rich, I'm glad you asked that question because I was about to lead into when we'll start talking about Bucky. We got a three-headed monster at running back, and I like that Saquon got paid for the simple fact, like Will said, Bucky took Rashad White's place. He took the number 1 spot. Rashad White's in his last year of his contract, and the Bucs said, "Hey, we're not gonna pick it up We're gonna see what you do. So now with Rashad White not having the extension, he on a prove me deal basically. He's on a prove me deal, and we got Tucker, who's going to get more reps this year, who didn't get the ball enough last year. I think Tucker's going to upseed Rashad White at number 2. So guess what that does for us? We got Rashad White as trade bait. So if he balls out, great. We in a win-win situation thanks to the running backs. Like Big Will said, running game is key, man. And I think a lot of teams starting to realize that. And I think all 4 teams in the NFC South got premier backs. Alvin Kamara is old, and they just released old boy with the Saints, so they rely heavily on
Williams.
Kamara.
Yeah,
They
Williams.
rely on him. You got Chuba Hubbard in Carolina, so the running back market is about to be on the come up. What you think, Big Will? I mean, Kratos.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. The running back market, is on a climb. And as you stated with Alvin Kamara, even though he's going to be there for a little bit with us, we're going to be looking to rebuild as well. So yes, the market is going to be stepping up a notch for running backs, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing about running backs, remember when Peyton Manning them used to run that stretch play with Edgerrin James off the edge, and Edgerrin James them and Joseph Haddad them used to get that work, with that yak. But speaking of off the edge, Max Crosby set the bar high as far as DN contract. What you think, Rick?
Yeah, he did, man. I'm glad to see Max Crosby got that bag, man. And I don't know if that's actually going to really make a difference for that franchise as far as them winning games. But definitely from a personal standpoint, man, I'm glad to see, that he got paid for all that he contribute to the Raiders in that, defensive front that they have. So I think what Max Crosby did definitely set the bar high for other guys to follow as well. And when you look at some of these guys that you still got out there and some of the guys in free agency, like Bosa and stuff, it's going to be interesting with Henderson. We talked about him earlier. I definitely want to see what happened with those guys. But Max Crosby, I'm glad that he got that bag, man. I don't know if that's going to help the Raiders out at all, but he got paid.
But he definitely did. And he set the market for, the DNs. And
yeah,
a lot of DNs are free agents. The Chargers let go of Bosa. Khalil Mack out there. You got Sweat. Man, it's a plethora of big name defensive ends that are on the market. And I'm hoping we pick up one of them. We got to grab one.
Corey, you think that is actually everybody? You think the reason why, man, these teams are letting go of some of these older defensive edges because of the talent that's in the draft right now, and it's a lot? You think that's one of the reasons why?
Yeah.
I
don't.
I gotta disagree
Really?
with you. I ain't seen too much in the draft other than I ain't been keeping up with it to combine that much, but the linebacker Penn State guy. The linebacker from Penn State. That's the only one I'm really paying attention to.
As far as the boy from Tennessee.
I mean, I don't agree with it either. More, I say it because I think it's definitely a money situation. What you're looking at now, especially when you look at the Super Bowl, you look at the past few Super Bowls, the guys that change the trajectory of the game are the guys that can get after these elite quarterbacks. I mean, they had Patrick Mahomes in the fucking tizzy all game. They were coming after Eaton. Look how much they're paying Max Crosby. Look how much they're paying Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, before Max Crosby got paid, was the highest paid non-quarterback.
Yeah.
These guys, I mean, Myles Garrett is about to get a bag. And they're trying to move money around so that they can pay him to try to make him happy. It's just cost a lot of, I promise you, Cincinnati does not want to get rid of Troy Hendrickson. They can't pay Troy Hendrickson. They can't pay Trey Hendrickson. So Trey Hendrickson is going to go to a situation, to a team that can pay him. It's not a matter of him not being good. I mean, obviously he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year. It's a matter of them not having the money. Same thing with the Chargers. They cut Nick Bosa more of for a cap situation. It had nothing to do with his production, and maybe it did because he's been hurt a lot. But at the end of the day, ultimately what it comes down to is you can never have too many pass rushers. You can, man. If we can get a guy like Joey Bosa in San Francisco, and then still have Leonard Floyd coming off the other side, you need those guys. I mean, Tampa brought back what's his name, Barrett. Yeah, Shaquille Barrett, trying to get something. You can't have enough of these guys. I don't think anything in the draft. You want a proven pass rusher before you want to go into the draft and try to find that type of talent, because having a pass rusher is just as good as having a quarterback. Yeah. They can level up the game by far.
How you doing, Telly? Good to see you.
I'm good, man. You know, sometimes a man don't let you go when you think you're gonna be up out of there. So
it's Atlanta.
Hey, understood. Absolutely. Jump in there, man. We talking about the edge rushing, man. What's your take?
Yeah, I hear that San Francisco dude trying to pump up his team real quick, trying to add some depth. Ain't nobody buying up some them little messages you send, dog. Ain't nobody hearing that. But real talk, yeah, I agree. A lot of people it's a salary cap thing. They're trying to address some obvious needs. I think everybody's doing that. I think Atlanta is doing the same thing. We just did an extension on a long snapper, and we got other pieces that we're going to do extensions on and try to restructure some contracts and make some tough decisions on who we got to cut to make room to get the things that we need to be competitive. I think Howie Roseman up in Pennsylvania, Philly, he's done a phenomenal job, man. He's making every other GM in the league look stupid about how he's been able to work contracts and do different things, and everybody's scratching their head about the Saquon Barkley contract extension. Like, why would he do that? And why he did that was to give himself more room in this year to add more pieces or secure some pieces that people trying to steal from him. So we all know when you win a Super Bowl, the next thing that happens is next year your team gets sliced and diced most time because you can't afford to keep them. So they let some people go, but they got some more people that they're gonna try to hold on to. So I think I agree with him on that part. Is people are doing some stuff with their salary, try to make some room for some of these potential big free agents, because it's going to be a lot of edges on the market, and I'm interested to see where the Nick Bosa's go, Joey Bosa go this year, and Garrett, he's not looking for money. He's looking to win. He made it clear. He said he wants to win. So I tell you right now, that Philly is about to go get that man.
Who's going to get him? I didn't hear that. Say it again.
Philly's gonna make a hard move to get Garrett, and he's interested. I'm gonna tell you right now.
And that's where Max Crosby's contract comes into play. The Raiders were smart, in my opinion. We know they're not going to be a winning team this year. They in a rebuild. They're in a soft rebuild. Or what was? Let me stop lying. They're in a full rebuild. They have all this money. So the next team that signs
on other teams.
Garrett said he don't want money. We get that, but we know better than that. We know that he's not going to get paid less than Max Crosby. He's not. That's not going to happen. So that means only a couple of teams going to afford him. So how we try to get him, they're going to have to give up a lot. They're going to sacrifice a lot.
Nope.
I believe so. I disagree.
Miles Garrett just got a big payday. That's why I said he's not looking for a new contract. But now it's going to cost Philly a nice draft pick or two to get him away from Cleveland. But Cleveland would be smart to let that man go and take some draft capital for him.
No, I've listened to the GM of Cleveland. They have no inclination whatsoever to trade Myles Garrett, and they're going to play hardball. And I honestly, if I was a GM, I would do the same thing. I would offer him more money. I've seen Deshaun Jackson just move money. Deshaun just move money around. Watson to move money around, which created another $34 million in cap space. I wouldn't under no circumstances trade Myles Garrett. There's no situation that's realistic for me where I trade Myles Garrett. And at 27 years old, it's gonna cost you at least 3 first rounders. Period.
3 plus.
And I know Philly. Philly believes in building through the draft. If they've cut Slay, They've cut Bradbury already. They just re-signed Zach Bond. They believe in building through the draft. That's their philosophy. And they're not going to go out here and leverage future picks and current picks to go out and get Myles Garrett. That's just not what they do. Philly hasn't made a move like that I can remember in a very, very long time to go out and get one player for the sake of the future of the franchise.
Rich, you put it out there. Talk to us.
You know, I'm almost inclined to agree with Big Will. I don't think that they would actually give up the capital as well to get Myles Garrett. That would be a hell of a fit for them, and I don't want to see Philadelphia repeat. But I don't think that likelihood scenario is actually going to play out. I think Myles Garrett still end up in Cleveland. They're going to be able to work something out. But I would love to see his ass in Carolina if he goes anyway.
I want him in San Francisco too.
So that's more of them subliminal messages is carried over. That's why you agree with him, Big Will, because it's a damn. You believe you agree with the subliminal messages. Of
I mean, would you trade him if you was in Atlanta?
We've done stupider things in the past.
But you've never had a player of this. I mean, y'all got what's the big nose tackle name over there?
You're speaking of defense.
Grady.
I'm talking about big players. Period.
Right, but I'm talking about Grady. I mean,
Grady
Grady's
Jarrett,
older, but Grady Jarrett. You're not trading guys. This dude is a force multiplier. I mean, he's a player you get once every 10 years. I'm sorry. I'm not trading him. He gonna have to sit out. He's gonna have to go through it, but he's gonna forfeit a lot of freaking money if he sits out, which he can afford to do.
He can afford to do it.
He may well do it, but at the same time, they're not trading him unless you're giving them 3 firsts. And I'm not taking him no less than 3 ones.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all about his value, and if I was a GM, what I would do. But would you also want to keep a player and set the tone and the message for other players in your team that I'm going to hold you here hamstrung when I know good damn well that this team ain't going nowhere no time soon. So
that's why we got to keep him.
So would I take advantage of the opportunity to move him, try to get what I can, try to get a king's ransom for a generational type player, an impact player like you mentioned he is this year, save some money and get some stuff and get on this rebuild, or do I keep a unhappy player there who's going to show everybody else what they are, what he is, and he might not play, he might sit out. I would sit out.
Yeah, but my thing is, Cleveland's in position to go out and get an Abdul Carter. You talk about the guy from Tennessee. They're in position to go get these guys. They're not winning. Deshaun Watson very well may not play this year is what it's looking like.
Who's
and you're
quarterback?
Right. So, again, if I'm Cleveland, with or without Myles Garrett, unless you offer me 3 first rounders, we're not in position. We're not in position to do anything anyway. So, but why would I trade him unless you're giving me 3 first rounders? Again, I get it if the market's right, but we're not going anywhere fast.
To take your point and Rich's point, I'm gonna say it from Atlanta's perspective. We have something that we can offer them that they don't have. A quarterback.
I got breaking news, Kelly. You know, like it might tie into what we talking about with Myles Garrett. What's his name? Bobby Wagner just agreed to a 1-year contract with the Commanders. So he comes back on a 1-year deal. So is that a sign that they've been talking about Commanders getting Myles Garrett? Is that a sign? What do we think about that, Rich?
I'm gonna have to go downstairs and look at my mama picture and ask her, but that'll be a hell of a sign. Damn, man, that's like everybody said, man. Myles Garrett is definitely a force multiplier. He's a game-changing player, and to add a piece like that to that defense in Washington, that would be actually important for that division. When you look at some of the things that's going to be done, particularly, actually stopping Jalen Hurts and potentially, getting some other people to short that defense to stop, Saquon Barkley. But if that is the case, and if that is a sign, I mean, that's great for them. But I honestly don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. I think it's just telling that they trying to go after it. You cut out Big Will, but Wagner just signed a 1-year deal with the Commanders. He's staying on for 1 more year. So they loading up. They trying to load up.
I saw that earlier. I also just saw that Aaron Rodgers, the Giants are trying to go after Aaron Rodgers as well, which was expected. He lives in New York currently. It makes a lot of sense for them. They're desperate. They're in a bad situation over there with Brian Daboll, the head coach. I actually think he fits their system well, and I think Malik Neighbors is the type of player that he needs to be with. I like the running back, Tracy. Not a bad situation. I don't think it does much, considering the division that they're in. But I also agree with the Myles Garrett to Washington situation. Only teams right now that's potentially in a winning situation can go after Myles Garrett because you can leverage first round picks. San Francisco did it when they went up and got Trey Lance. Even though it didn't work out, they traded 3 first round picks to go get Trey Lance and still ended up in the Super Bowl. If you're a team like Washington, you got a quarterback, you have offensive players right now that you believe in. You can trade a few first rounders to go up and get a Myles Garrett. And no one cares at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I look. It's a very interesting situation all the way around.
Man, I thought the Giants were going to sign Jackson Dart.
Shit.
They still can.
I think so. They signed Aaron Rodgers and then draft Jackson Dart.
Yeah, because how much life does Aaron Rodgers have left, bro? Real
Draft
talk.
him at 4?
They could.
Shit.
Or trade back.
Man.
I think Eli got 1 more year before he go into backup status if he continues.
Yeah, look, just think about it. If they do that, sign Aaron Rodgers, can do the similar experience that they did in Green Bay with Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers there, there's things that the young guy can learn from. Yeah, he slings the ball well. I think the combine hype is just that. I've seen Jackson Dart played in action, and I'm not overly impressed that he can be given the keys to a franchise day one. So, can he get better in a year? Absolutely, he could under the right tutelage and the right system. So I think Brian Daboll, I think, is a pretty decent coach. I've said that on the other shows that we've had. But I think Aaron Rodgers is about time, 1 year. But they could trade back and still get Jackson Dart. They don't have to take him at 4. They can trade back, ask him other trade value, and get him later in the first round or the early second.
The Giants don't have the luxury of trading back. Drafting Jackson Dart in the first round would be criminal for the Giants. Considering the players that's there between 1 and 20, it'll be criminal. If you draft in the second round, I wouldn't disagree with it. That would be malpractice. Drafting this kid's trash. I mean, this kid is ass cheeks. Drafting this dude day 2 would be okay.
Right.
There is no way you draft this dude between 1 and 20, and I don't see them trading out of 4 to get down below 20. And I mean, you got a tight end at Penn State that I would take over this dude. You got all kind of guys out there.
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing it when it comes to Jackson Dart. They're going to get they're going to essentially go get Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully they'll be in a position to take the Manning kid the next year or somebody else. But yeah, like.
But who is what does the Giants need outside of the quarterback? What else do they need?
Everything. They're the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean,
they need a new coach.
So put the question out there to y'all. Real talk. If you're selecting the Giants, who are you picking at 4?
Anybody that got
No,
legs.
man. Give me names, bro. Don't give me the anybody crap.
Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, the tight end out of Penn State, Abdul Carter. I mean,
Carter ain't gonna be there. He's gonna be gone.
I mean, quarterbacks can go early. Let's say Carter's going, but you got guys that are out there to me that are way better players than Jackson Dart. I'm not taking no Jackson Dart.
I
You
didn't.
got
I didn't say take him at 4. You
I mean,
argued
you
about
got
him,
the old lineman out of Missouri.
right?
That's
So
your
who you
kid.
taking?
You got Simmons out of Ohio State.
Who you taking?
I take a tackle. I take
Okay.
a guard.
All right. Who you got,
Shit.
Corey?
Hey, ooh, I'm going with the guy from Penn State, man, the linebacker. I forgot his name. I
Abdul
take him.
Carter.
Abdul Carter.
I'm going with him. If he's
I don't
still
know
on
if
the
he's
board.
gonna be there. That's my thing. I think he's gonna
Travis
go
Hunter gonna
1
be there.
overall.
Yeah. So I'm not taking if he's Travis Hunter or Pierce from Tennessee.
Sound like a plan. Everybody got quiet on that one. I guess that's the mic drop.
No, I agree. I mean,
I agree.
Jackson Dart's a day 2 pick.
Man, why you keep arguing for Jackson Dart? Nobody here agree with that pick.
I mean, Mo do.
you keep staying on it. Ain't nobody saying nobody.
Oh, listen,
Come on, San Francisco, come to the East Coast, baby.
Lance Obertelli. Because you came in late, I
You
knew
came
you
in
had
late.
about Dart, so I brought him back up. We already covered his ass.
Oh, okay, yeah. My bad.
He got believers in here. So my thing is,
We
I
got Ole
understand
Miss
the
fans in
Giants.
here.
Yeah, I understand. I agree with you with Jackson Dart. We actually echoed the same thing when it comes to Dart. He's some shit. I personally think the Giants just need to go out and just they're gonna have to throw the season because they're just not in position to get that quarterback, which ultimately they need. I mean, go out and get Sam Darnold. That's the best you can get. If you're the Giants, to me, the best you can get in Sam Darnold. He's only 27 years old. Go out and get Sam Darnold, ride him for a few years, and if he's asked, you're in position to take a quarterback next year or the year after that.
So you're saying if you Brian Dable in management, you're gonna hang your hat on Sam Darnold after you just fumble the bag with everything. Everything. You gonna
What options do they really have?
Shador, Cam Ward.
They won't be. He won't be there.
You don't think so?
No.
What is the draft order, man? Hold up. Let me see.
The Giants sit at 4, I believe. 3 or 4.
I just know we 8th. Yeah,
he ain't gonna be there. He ain't gonna.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna be there, bro.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. Oh man.
Yeah, the Giants moved themselves. I mean, because let's be real. Shadur's going to either end up in either being 1 overall. He's going to end up in Tennessee or Las Vegas. They're both going quarterback. I can tell you that for sure. They're both going quarterback.
Yeah.
Because there's no way Tennessee going to the season with whoever mayonnaise boy at damn quarterback.
Will Levis.
Yeah, they ain't going out there with Miracle Whip at quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hell nah.
That shit ain't flying.
Hell nah.
So the draft order is Tennessee, Cleveland, New York, New England, Jacksonville, Raiders, Jets, Carolina 8, Saints at 9, Chicago 10, San Francisco 11, Cowboys at 12, Miami 13, Colts at 14, Falcons at 15. Yeah, that's enough.
Cleveland may go quarterback too. I wouldn't sleep on it.
I was just about to ask, what do we think Cleveland's going to do?
Cleveland going quarterback.
They should.
According to this mock draft, they got Cleveland going to take Abdul Carter. So that's interesting compared to what we just talked about. If they're projecting that you're looking at a edge when you have this
Myles Garrett,
edge, why would you try to keep him?
Yeah,
Maybe they're trying to keep the edges. Maybe.
Free agency is going to tell the story when it comes to the draft. Free agency is going to tell the story because, again, if Myles Garrett's still there after free agency, his ass is going to be there or they're going to hold out. And I'm 100% certain Cleveland looking at this Deshaun Watson situation. This shit's a nightmare. This dude retore his damn Achilles after having surgery. I mean, if they serious about winning, they have to go quarterback.
Yeah.
I saw when he injured it, man. He was doing a TikTok video with his old lady.
Yeah, some busted ass broad. But yeah, I think like Deshaun Watson, man, like um man, let's be for real. It's gonna be the Russell Wilson situation. They're gonna cut their losses. They're gonna swallow that cap number. They're gonna cut their losses, and they're gonna draft a rookie quarterback who's on a favorable deal. And by the time they even gotta pay Deshaun, they done paying Deshaun, that dude's gonna be up for a new contract.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks.
I think they go for Kirk Cousins.
he ain't cheap neither.
Huh?
He ain't cheap neither.
No, he ain't cheap, but they can have him. You know, it'll cost them $26 million. That's all it's gonna cost.
I agree. He asked too though.
They ain't bad for 1 year, 2 years.
Y'all need that contract, Kelly. Y'all don't want to let it go because you don't believe it.
We gonna still be on the hook for $32 million, but you know, if I can save $26 million, I'll save it.
What happens with Pitt?
I don't know. That's a toss up because you know I think I heard the other day that's probably the most accurate. It's not anything to do with his ability or talent. It's to do with his effort. And sometimes you can do all you can to get people in the right places and spaces, man. But the tape shows the effort is not there. Regardless of who's
the tape shows that shit, man. Me being at the Atlanta Carolina game, man, and we talked about it as well, Telly. His effort out there, man. He's lazy. And we were talking about this today at work, and I said, you know, in my opinion, I don't know if Pitt's quite fully lost his love for the game, but I think he needs to be in a situation that can relight that fire and go out there and play ball because the boy got talent. So when we were talking about it, it was like, damn, what would Kyle Pitts look like on the Commanders, who we've been talking a lot about tonight? Do you think that'd be a good fit for Kyle Pitts to go to the Washington Commanders, being that they need to get a tight end too? I think that's a great fucking move.
Right. He might be rejuvenated, and if they give up enough picks, we'll take it. But my thing is I struggle with obviously he's still on the contract. This year will be on the hook for $10 million for him. And my thing is he's worth $10 million with the effort that he's been given. That's the thing I have a hard thing with. So it could go multiple ways. It's a conversation. We sit down with him and the coach, like, look, we want you here. We drafted you high, made you the highest drafted tight end in history. And you gave us some flashes year one, and threw some knack injuries for 2 years. But this year, man, we're looking at the tape. You're just not giving us any juice. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna perform for us this year, or do you want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, you just can't fucking perform on National Tight Ends Day.
Right. That's the only time.
You gotta play all other games as well.
Yeah. So that's a tough decision, man. I'm mixed emotions.
Pitt only balled out against us. Just like Kirk.
National Tight Ends Day.
Right.
They only balled out against us.
Right.
Other than that, they were shit.
Him and Ott was going toe for toe that game.
Yeah, they was. But I like Pitts to the Commanders. I don't know who brought that up, but I like that.
I did. We were talking about it today at work, man, and I was just talking to some of the fellas, and just thinking about the conversations that we had, during last season, and me and Telly talking about Pitts, man. We had the same sentiment, man. You can see when he's out on that field, man, he's kind of lazy in his warm-ups, and that translates over to how he plays in the games. And you're like, damn, why is this guy who has so much talent putting so less effort into this game, and he's getting paid all this money? Is it something else going on in Atlanta that we don't know? Is he truly happy in Atlanta, or is he looking to go to a different situation where he can actually have that, that light lit back under him and get out there and ball out? I don't know the answer.
I think when you watch the tape, man, and the scheme is terrible. I mean, Kirk Cousins can't move. Playing last year, it's hard. It's hard, honestly, to go into a situation where you expect to win. You're expected to go out there and be a focal point. Drake London was their focal point this year. They made a concerted effort to go out here and make Drake London look phenomenal, and he did. He really did. He exceeded. I don't think he exceeded expectations. He lived up to what they expected him to be. You were also expecting Kyle Pitts to get the secondary shares of the passing game, but that didn't happen either. The other receiver that is
Darnell
Mooney out of from Chicago, he blossomed. Ray McCloud got a lot of catches, more catches than I expected him to get.
Absolutely.
It was definitely the offense was centered around the run game. I mean, Bijan Robinson had a career year.
It should be.
Yeah, I agree, and I think just the system does not fit for him. I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else in a pass-friendly system. It's really hard when you can tell that they're really not making an effort to get the ball to him. And you said it could be lazy route running, it could be scheme also. I just don't see it. I just think the system didn't look well, and I think, and I also think that Drake London was their focal point offensively this year when it came to receiving.
So with your comments, right? You look at Ray McCloud. He's short. Where did he catch most of his passes at?
The backfield. He's a screen guy. Or down the field.
Across the middle.
Across the middle.
Okay.
Who should be catching those passes?
The tight end.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to me, I don't think that was the effort that they were trying to. When I watched it, I mean, it wasn't. Again, it could be a number of things. I just would.
It's only one thing, brother. It's effort. Because if he gives the effort, he has a 1,400-yard season. Because Ray had 600 plus yards this year receiving. Half of those yards I would give to Pitts. So he could have almost easily been 1,000-yard tight end receiver, which would have been great for us. But when you look at the tape and you look at where he should have been on routes, he wasn't there. So that's why McCloud got those passes.
But you also look at up and down quarterback play. I mean, Kirk Cousins shit the bed halfway. He was terrible.
He shit the bed after what 6, 7, 8 games, right?
Yeah.
What did Pitts do in that time? He didn't show up, man. So I can't make any excuses for him, but I will say I like what I saw between him and Penix at the end of the year. He still has some moments, but he looked better at the end of the year, and maybe his psyche has been rejuvenated because of we got a different quarterback, a mobile quarterback. Even though Penix don't move that much out of the pocket, he has the ability to move out the pocket if he wants to. So maybe that's it. That's why I say I'm on the fence about what we're going to do with him. And they probably keep him, man, because I hate to give him up to somebody else and then he become a damn a Kelsey on the team. So that's my resolve on him, man. But if we do trade him, he got to get out of the NFC. I ain't sending him to Washington. He gotta go. Hell no! I'm gonna make my own self look bad. What you doing now?
Real quick though, shout out to the Richardson family, man. They definitely chimed in.
Yeah,
man. Much love. Much love.
Man. We got a whole family in here, boy. Salute. That's what I'm talking about. But once again,
hey, brothers and my sister.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Like I said, subscribe us on YouTube and continue to follow us. We got more content coming for season 2. As you can see, we all the way up already in the off season. Free agency starting next week. We're gonna jump back in here. We're gonna give you more content, man. We appreciate y'all for coming out. That's it, fella.
Peace.